Hello viewers, welcome back to Al-Asad, House of the Lion. This is Frank Perrin, and today I'm here to give you a pretty great update on something that occurred over the last week. And that is, I've been invited to partake in the reopening of the Higgins Armory Gallery at the Worcester Art Museum in Worcester, Massachusetts, in the United States. Now, one of the reasons this ties in to this channel and what we do here is that about 12 years or so ago, when I was in graduate school, I actually interned at the Higgins Armory. And the Higgins Armory Museum was the second largest collection of arms and armor behind the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And when I was there, I got a really large interest in Middle Eastern arms and armor. And that's really kind of where this journey of mine began. Well, they knew my interest. Even as an intern, they saw my passion for it, my knowledge, and it was going to be my job to kind of help them expand out on that collection, the information available to it. Well, long story short, the museum closed. And with it, I thought went all of my hopes and aspirations. Well, fast forward to the collection being bought by the Worcester Art Museum and having the staff kind of conglomerate and merge over to that museum. After them catching wind of the work I did in my previous group with Ra's Masfar and now with Al-Asad, our group was invited to go do an arms and armor demo at the Worcester Art Museum. After the success of that, I was invited to go handle some period pieces down in collections, and I did that twice. And with that, I kind of helped them revamp some of the information on the pieces, their historical context, when and where they're located, and just update some of the, frankly, like kind of Orientalist, out-of-date language that was used in curating Middle Eastern arms and armor. And because of that, I was invited to be on the team to help redisplay and recurate all of the Middle Eastern arms and armor that are in the new Higgins Armory Gallery opening next year. So it's a pretty crazy thing to think about how almost 15 years after I thought my hopes and dreams kind of got flushed down the toilet, my work in Al-Asad kind of got me back up to where I wanted to be. So with that in mind, that's the awesome news. I'll link down below some of the examples of what I'm looking at from Worcester Art Museum. But otherwise, enjoy this little slideshow that I'm gonna narrate, because I couldn't take any pictures, but I was able to get I couldn't take any videos, but I was able to get some really good pictures and provide some commentary of some of the artifacts that you're about to see. So sit back, relax, enjoy, and we'll see you next time on Al-Asad. Thank you. All right, so the first item I want to show you here is this gorgeous Indian spearhead, and this spearhead is from the 18th century, and it's about 12 inches in length, and it comes down to this beautiful broad triangular base here. And this is one of the most unique pieces that I've seen concerning spearheads. But what makes it very typical to the Indian subcontinent, Greater India, and similar versions of it, or similar large spearheads in Persia, is the fact that they were not only effective at thrusting, but also at the cut. Such a large spearhead allowed you to deliver hewing cuts as well as damaging anti-armor strikes to your opponent. So yeah, really unique, amazing piece. All right, so the next artifact are these gorgeous mail and plate legs from Iran. Now, we do not know the region quite yet. That's something I'm looking into, but they have these incredible ornate inscriptions and decorations of rabbits and cats. And it's always been one of my favorite pieces in the collection. And something that it confuses a lot of visitors is, they see depictions of living beings on this armor, and they said, well, isn't that forbidden in Islam? Well, Persians have always had this thing where they more so separated living beings into a secular and religious sphere. So because this was more symbolic of a warrior's victory over his enemies, it had nothing to do with religion and was therefore allowed. Or wasn't really seen as the kind of taboo as living imagery or images of living beings would have been in the religious sense. All right, these are some really amazing pieces. These are some 16th century basons from the Ottoman Empire, and I was really fortunate to be able to get a hold of these basons to really see the craftsmanship behind them. You can see down at the very bottom where there would have been a hand plate attached that has since been lost, but the floral motifs that are included on these basons are a true sign of the craftsmanship of these pieces and a definite reflection of the technological advancement of the Ottoman Empire, and of course, Persian smiths, where the technology originally would have come from. There's this amazing central ridge that runs down the middle, which gave you a lot of really great ability to reinforce blows that came down onto your arm. And you see here, you've got the top that actually flares out, which gives your elbow, a lot of coverage, but also a lot of room to move. Really well done, incredible craftsmanship, and I was very fortunate to get a hand on these. Alright, so the next piece here is this amazing Anatolian kalkan, and I want to draw attention to how well preserved the wicker is that spirals around the central boss, right? And you've also got these really cool bent steel bars that reinforce, and these didn't really pop up in the kalkan shields until about the 18th century, and this really gives this shield that people consider otherwise fragile, even though it's not, even more reinforcement. It also creates this beautiful motif that almost looks like a sun coming out of the middle. So really beautiful piece, and the fact that it's in this kind of shape is incredible. So I was very fortunate to be able to get a hold of it. Now, I wasn't able to pick it up because of its, fragility, but we're going to switch to a view underneath in a second, and it's going to be some really fascinating insight to these shields. So at the bottom here, you see you've got 3 braided section of handle for you to be able to grip it and hold it how you wish, but also all of these rings that run around the outside. That's for your modularity. If you want to be able to hold your shield, strap your shield to your body, secure it so you can shoot a bow with it, right? This was very modular, so the warrior themselves could choose how they want to run their rope to hang or wield their shield. There's a lot of debate over, how Middle Eastern shields were actually held. I think they were more modular than people give them credit for. So underneath here with all of these rings kind of just goes to show how modular this could be for its use. All right, next up from the 18th century are these Iranian yarids, javelins, and what's amazing about these here is you see how this comes to a point that is divided into a triangular blade, right? Obviously, that intention is to get in between the mail and open up the armor. So these small javelins would have been
thrown from horseback and came in scabbards that had about 3 of them, and that would either hang off your leg, your thigh, or the side of your horse. So yeah, really cool, neat little pieces to see how the technology had evolved to be able to pierce and break through mail armor, which had remained one of the most common styles of armor in the region. Here you can see a full-length full-length image of the javelin. It was remarkably light. And moving on, here is a very interesting artifact from India, the zagnal. And while this piece is likely ceremonial, I do want to note that the zagnal design goes back to about 11th century Iran and would have this crow's beak style blade on the back of the hammer. A really great anti-armor weapon if needed, though this version has this split, this fork top, which likely is an illusion, or likely is a throwback to the Zulfikar, or the split bladed sword of the Prophet, which those type of swords show up in Indian reproductions in this time period quite a bit. So, very ceremonial piece, but real combative versions of these did exist, and are very, very effective, powerful weapons at combating armor. I'd be interested to get my hands on a reproduction and testing it out. Alright, there's not a ton to say about this, but this is also another Indian mace from the 19th century. And it's really interesting here because this comes from a period in the 19th and 18th century where Indian smiths were trying to reproduce a lot of European style arms and armor. So there's actually breastplates that are made from smiths in India that look just like European breastplates. So just thought it was a neat little novelty piece here. Definitely functional in its thickness and its width. The haft is not solid, so this was meant for business. So the haft was solid, this is meant for business. So interesting little thing here, how we say we don't really know in the European context if a lot of flails were ever actually used that were single-handed like this. Well, this one I got a chance to play around with, and with a solid haft and a chain that sturdy, it would not surprise me if this was actually used. And finally, a really unique piece here. This is a partisan spear from Italy. But the reason why this is included is because this was likely a siege trophy or some kind of war booty. Because when we get a close-up appearance of the blade, what's on it is something that is a very rare treat to see on captured blades. So on the very bottom of the blade, there's a tamga, or the mark of an arsenal weapon. And on the blade itself, there is this caricature of an Italian cavalryman that has been put on the blade post-capture. So this is a really cool little piece of history that kind of just shows the sense of humor and how Ottomans, viewed their enemies in this time. That this is kind of their way of going, ha, look, we got you. This is who this weapon came from. Here's our enemy. We defeated them. So this is an interesting little, both physical and symbolic representation of the defeat of your enemy. That weapon has now been repurposed and re-implemented into the winner's arsenal. So we really hope you enjoyed this video. Please check out the links below to the Worcester Art Museum. Support their ongoing renovations and reinterpretation and display of the Higgins Armory collections. And we will see you next time on Beit Al-Asad, House of the Lion. Thank you.